Patrick Cook here. So thanks for joining me in another Mandelbulb3D gotcha session. I'm calling this particular gotcha the Preview Lockout, and because it interferes with your productivity when it comes to assembling an animation. Now let me see if I can explain this to you a little bit. It doesn't appear to be a serious gotcha when you first consider it, but unfortunately, it interferes with your ability to construct an animation. Okay, and so in that regard, this particular gotcha is more of a workflow issue than a problem with the application. All right. Now, what I have here is I have an animation I was putting together. Never got published, but it's in the works. Okay, but it's good enough to illustrate this particular gotcha. So this is the main editor, and I have this particular project loaded up. This is the animation window, and as you can see here, I have a number of keyframes. Obviously, this is the navigator. And right now, I'm in the process of rendering a preview. I'm just rendering 35 through keyframes 45. All right, just in a reasonably sized preview, because I just wanted to show you what this particular gotcha is. Now, you'll notice here with the preview being rendered, this is not the full rendering. This is a preview. This is the preview being rendered. All right. Now, with this preview being rendered, you'll notice that there's certain controls that have been locked out or disabled. And they're disabled by design. And as I explain this, I think you'll understand why the design is what it is. So you'll notice here while I'm previewing that the processing's window or a button is closed, so we can't raise the processing's window. That is, if you recall from our training, that is where you can set values across all or some of the keyframes, such as the DE stop, the frames between, and so on and so forth. But that window or that functionality is locked out. That's not the problem. You'll also notice here that I can't go and set a destination folder for the full preview, the full rendering. All right, and I can't save and I can't open other animation files. Those are M3As. Again, not the problem. And you'll also notice that this button is locked out or disabled, and I'm not able to actually begin rendering the full resolution of the animation. Again, that's not the problem. All right. Now, if we turn our attention down here to the navigator, we'll notice that the View to Main button has also been disabled. All of the other buttons on the navigation window are fully functional. Okay? That View to Main is not accessible. Now, if we look over here on the main editor, you'll notice here that I can't open or save any other M3P files. That's okay. That makes some sense. Okay? And I can't get any parameters from the keyboard. You'll also notice here that I can't calculate. All right, so I can't calculate. So, and you know what the calculate does. It draws the full resolution here in the main editor. Okay? All right, so now that you have an understanding of the buttons that have been disabled, let me see if I can explain the problem to you. Now, we're just coming up on the end of this particular preview, which is good. That's all I wanted. You'll note here that as I explained, the buttons that I showed you that were disabled, okay, those are disabled while it's rendering. You'll also note that while it's rendering, not only the buttons disabled, but I'm rather limited in what I can do. Now, the preview is currently running, and the same buttons are disabled. The processing's okay, all of these. Nothing changes. The buttons that I identified while it was rendering are still disabled. Okay. So, all right, so what's the issue with the gotcha? Now, you'll note here that I can still move around in these keyframes. Okay, no problem whatsoever. All right, so let's say that I'm previewing, and let's just stop this here so we can scrub it. And let's say, oh, gee, I really don't like that particular issue right there, okay? Let's just say that there's a little bit something wrong with the animation. Oh, maybe my camera is actually hitting something and I need to fix that frame, okay? Easy enough. I mean, I can turn on the show keyframes, you see, okay? Let's stop it here. All right, let's just say that that issue right there, all right, somewhere around keyframe 2000, okay? Somewhere in that area, okay? So I can come up here and I can find the keyframe that renders out around the 2000, right there, okay? So this keyframe right there, right here, looks identical to this. I don't have a keyframe number that I can refer to, but I do have the subframe right here, subframe 1999, which is pretty close to this area right here, is keyframe 2000. So this is probably the keyframe associated with this particular subframe. Okay. All right, so let's just say that we have an issue here with this keyframe, and I want to be able to modify that keyframe so that I can eliminate the problem. Let's just say that I'm bumping into a Mandelbulb, let's just say. Now, so normally what I'd want to do is I'd want to use this button right here to send this keyframe back down to the navigator. So if I click on that, you'll notice here that I am unable to pull that keyframe into the navigator. I'll just prove it. I'm going to go to a whole different keyframe. Click on that parameter. You see here, I can't pull that keyframe. I can't pull any keyframe into the navigator. All right. All right. Now, so the issue there is I see a problem here, but I've got controls that have been locked out. Not just the processing and not just all these buttons here. I don't really care about it. I don't need to open and close any files, but I do want to get this down here where I can modify it and get myself out of a jam that was revealed by the preview, okay? But I can't. The gotcha is that I can't get a keyframe into the navigator for as long as the preview window is open. That's the gotcha. When the preview window is open, all right, being displayed, whether or not the preview is running, when the preview window is open, I am unable to get a keyframe into the navigator to do any corrective work of that keyframe. Okay? All right. If we had a really good ability to preserve this preview we would be able to get past this issue, and I would be able to pull that keyframe in and take a look at it. They did give us something here called an AniGIF, an animated GIF. It doesn't work well. It doesn't work well. It's extremely low quality, number one. Not all video players of the modern Windows operating system can play an animated GIF, all right? And I also noticed is that the keyframe information doesn't come down, doesn't go into the AniGIF. So it's not a good solution. I need a solution where I can be looking at my preview and saying, okay, this is where I need to fix, and I need to be able to work with that, but I can't get the problem keyframe down to the navigator. Okay, so what do? So we need some way to be able to preserve this playback. And what I discovered is there's actually a couple different options, and I've tried a couple different, and they work more or well okay for the purposes of preserving this preview playback without having to have this Mandelbulb3D application preview window running. I have discovered that there's an application that is called ShareX. It is an open source. It's free. You can donate, but the application itself is free. And it actually works very, very well for my purposes, let's say our purposes as Mandelbulb enthusiasts, in preserving this animation window. So here is ShareX right here. All right. Now this is installed, and I use it on a regular basis because here's what I do. Now keep in mind the problem is that I can't pull a target keyframe into the navigator to work with it for as long as this preview window is up and running. Whether or not the animation is playing or not doesn't matter. I still am locked out. This is the Preview Lockup. Gotcha. Okay? All right, so what I do is I go to Capture, and I go to Screen Recording, all right, and I pick this, click on it, and I let the whole thing play out. So ShareX now is actually capturing this this animation for me. All right, it's run through a couple times. I only really need to have it run through one time, especially if you have a very long preview animation. All right, you put ShareX to it. It records the preview window. All right, so let's go ahead and stop this now. All right, I can stop it. All right, so now let's go see if we can open up. Let's open up the folder. Okay, I'll get this out of our way so we can see what we're doing here. This is the folder. Okay, now, all right, so I tapped on that. All right, so here is my, let's get cleaned up here a little bit. Here's my ShareX. All right, so my ShareX is running in a window. Now what I can do is I can close this preview. Let's get ShareX back up and running here. All right, let's put this up here where we can see it. Okay. And I now I am unlocked here. So now I can go to the affected keyframe, whatever that might be, pull it into the navigator and renew it. Okay. Well, let's just say that frame 42 was the affected one. Let's pull that into the navigator. There we go. So now with this ShareX, I have the ability to scrub. All right. And there's my subframes. Now, again, I don't have information of which keyframe this is, but I can match it up pretty close. This is, this is right around 2000 right here. Okay. All right, so this is probably the keyframe that we're targeting. That's good. It's close enough. It looks pretty good. It's probably more this one here. Okay. All right, so by using this open source screen capture, which does a lot more than what I'm showing here, we're able to basically preserve the preview, and I have the full benefit of being able to scrub and stop without locking up any of my Mandelbulb. So now I can come in here and I can start messing around excuse me, with the actual keyframe. Okay. And then what I can do is I can push that keyframe back over and replace this one, all right, the one I'm trying to fix, run the preview again and see whether or not my problem was resolved. All right, and I've got bonuses. I mean, I can actually pull this out and I can make this nice and big, and I can get in here and I can get a pretty good idea where my issues are, all right, with my preview. All right. All right. And of course I can save that, and it's a file that was actually saved to my hard drive as I showed you before. Okay. All right. So just in review, so the gotcha here is where when the preview window is running, let's go ahead and start running that again. When the preview window is open and rendering the preview or playing the preview, these valuable controls are locked out so that I am unable to get a keyframe down to the navigator where I can work with it and fix the problem with the animation. Okay? All right? I started off by telling you about these locked out controls. They're of no issue. They don't bother us a bit. All right, it doesn't matter. But I can work with the navigator. The gotcha here, in concise summary, is that while the preview window is open, whether it's rendering or playing, I am unable to get a keyframe into my navigator to work with it. Okay? But the ShareX gives us a workaround that actually gives us some extra benefits, such as actually being able to put this out to a more modern form of an animation, an MP3, an MP4, an MOV, or something to that effect there. Okay? All right. So that's it for this particular gotcha. I hope that this workaround in this preview lockout is valuable to you in creating animations and being able to correct issues with your animation without, basically having to start all over again. Okay? All right, so thanks for joining me in this gotcha. Let's keep creating, and I'll see you in the next gotcha. Take care.